How long was that? 3 weeks? 3 weeks ago? The last episode? Um, I guess so. But I guess I was mentioning in the last episode, I will be having really busy 2 weeks during the Thanksgiving and after Thanksgiving until this week which is the week before I go to Indonesia. Anyway, hi, welcome back. I'm Stephanus, and this is Be Extra Anything podcast by Stephanus, where we celebrate our creativity. Be extra does not mean it's a negative connotation, but it's just to support um, everyone's creativity. Anyway, it has been 3 weeks since I last podcast. Um, Last time I mentioned that I will have um, a busy week or a couple of busy weeks. That's why I could not podcast. And so, what has happened? First, I had my birthday, December 8th, and I had a pizza party in my house. I cooked, I think, 4 or 5 pizza. I have this pizza oven on my backyard. It's called Uni oven, so it can go up to 900-degree Fahrenheit. So you can cook pizza in under 2 minutes. And I was having a couple of friends over. I have a friend who is Italian, and he helped me making the pizza. So one pizza we had zucchini and peppers, like a bell peppers. That one was with tomato sauce and olive oil base, and just a little bit of mozzarella cheese. And then the second pizza was like a pepperoni and mozzarella with again tomato sauce base. The third one was a burrata pizza. So basically, the base is uh, basil pesto base with fresh mozzarella, like a burrata cheese. So the way we cooked that pizza, we cooked initially for 40 minutes, just the bread, the pizza dough, and the basil pesto and the cheese. And then after 40 seconds, we put in 40 seconds in the oven and take it out. And then put more cheese for another 20 seconds. And then um, once it is done, we took it out and just put the fresh burrata and then just slice it open, and all this gooey goodness of the fresh cheese just melt all over on the pizza. So that was really nice. So anyway, we had a great time. So that's my birthday. And since last time I podcast or I recorded, I finished my birthday sweater, which is what I'm wearing right now. So if you see the opening of the show, I was making my latte art using wearing my birthday sweater. So it is I can stand up. Um, Yeah, so this is using the yarn that I got from Wool and Folk 2023. It is a non superwash yarn from Flora Adora Fibers, and this is naturally dyed with a certain type of plant to get this color. But as I mentioned in the previous episode or couple previous episodes, this reminds me of a birthday cake because of that. What it has that what do you call this thing? The tweets, the naps, colorful naps, just like sprinkles on your birthday cake. So I'm loving it. It's I haven't blocked it since I finished, but I've been wearing it almost every day, and it is just one of those staples that um, I will continue wearing forever and ever. Yeah, and I was showing this thing, the elbow patch. This is a leather elbow patch that I got from a yarn shop upstate New York, close to the what do you call the close to the wool. I mean, a running back area. I forgot the name, but it already has the pre uh made holes on the elbow patch, so you just need to run your needles through it, and you don't have to puncture the hole on the leather piece, so it's so easy to make it. And it it's lost for words. Beautiful, exactly what I wanted. I mentioned again previous uh episodes the design that I have in mind. I want cable but not all over, and it's going to be asymmetrical, first in the design and on the placement of it. You see how it's so off centered, but that's exactly what I want, and it does not have any symmetric point. And nothing is on the arm, and the highlight is really just you know um, the elbow patch. And it's so nice to have an elbow patch, actually. Like, it's I know the history of elbow patch is for hunters, where they how hunting for food or animals back then, where they have to be steady in the forest, with their hands supporting whatever their instrument to go hunting, so the elbow is always hitting the surface, so that the elbow will be the first one to deteriorate in your sweater. So that's why they added. Now elbow patch is like a fashion statement, like it doesn't really have a function, but what I'm trying to say is it actually nice to have it, even when you're working on your computer, or like knitting on a table. When you rest your elbow on the table, it doesn't it makes your elbows to be steady. It does not slide, even if you have like a really smooth surface. So I find it really nice. And also, there will be more sweaters into 2024 that I will be making with elbow patch. Um, so that's what I'm wearing. And I don't really have anything to share. If you're new to the podcast, I usually share in the beginning like knowledge or experience that I have, just as a payback to the community, because I learn a lot about knitting from the community when I started knitting during pandemic. But what I thought, for this episode, I will share anyway, like my experience when I discuss the main topic of this episode. So let's just get into that, because the sharing of the knowledge is going to be in the main section. So the topic of today's episode is ulos. Ulos is Indonesian's traditional woven fabric, and it is originated from the northern part of Sumatra. And so yeah, this traditional cloth, originally it is gifted to somebody to celebrate events in their life. Could be joyful or could be sad. So there are multiple types of ulos throughout the northern Sumatra. So, for example, there is the ragi dup, which is mostly for the bride of the wedding couple or a couple that is getting married. And then there's the ragi hotang. I will put a list on this screen. So there's ragi dup, ragi otang, and there is sibolang, there is bintang maratur, and also mangiring. And the most popular one is called sadum, ulos sadum. Ulos sadum is usually being used to celebrate joyful events such as wedding. You can use it for weddings, and you can use it for if somebody's having a new member in their family. Although for like a pregnant person, there is another type of ulos to celebrate it, but sadum can cover a lot of joyful event. Actually, some grieving moment can also be celebrated with sadum. So basically, you hand weave traditionally hand weave all this cloth specifically for someone that you are going to celebrate. So just like knitting and weaving here in the western part of the world, if you are knitting for someone, like a handmade gift, you design or you structure that crafting or creating towards, you know, uh, that person, like basically creating something specifically for the receiver. So again, so that's what ulas is. So today I will focus on the most popular ulas, which is sadum. And this one, again, use a lot it is used a lot traditionally for the joyful event, but with as the time has passed, foreigners started to pick up the this fabric as a souvenir when they come to the that part of Indonesia. So now this ulas is being manufactured also not for just traditional use but also for for tourism. A little bit more about sadum. The It is produced in North Sumatra, and I will give a reference on there is a journal article that is published by a university. It's called Institute Technology of Bandung. So it is an engineering school, and they have a visual art and design department. And there is a professor who wrote a paper on Ulos Sadum. So not all ulos. So that this professor actually discussed the type of ulos that I will be talking about. So I will place the journal paper here, and I will put a reference to the journal on the comment box. So in this paper, it is mentioned that typically the dimension of the ulos cloth is between 100 to 150 centimeter wide, and it can go up to 200 centimeter in length. And it is woven. So I'm not a weaver, but in this paper, it is mentioned that the weaving technique is by using a backstrap loom. So the loom has a backstrap. I guess they use their body weight to somewhat control the loom. I have no idea. Maybe a weaver will be able to tell me. And also it is combined with a supplementary weft technique, or in Indonesia the word is called songket. And songket is another weaving fabric that is found a lot in the southern part of Sumatra. So in the northern part of Sumatra, we call it ulos, and then the southern part of Sumatra, it is called songket. And I covered the songket in the previous, I think episode 10, in the Nutcracker episode. If you go back to my channel, videos, if you go look at the Nutcracker, I was wearing a uh, Christmas color theme sweater, like red and white. Um, and that is a representation of a songcat. Like that design was inspired by that fabric called songcat. But what I'm going to um, focus today is ulos, which is a woven fabric from the northern part of Sumatra. So again, it is using a backstrap loom technique with supplementary weft technique. And it is traditionally being woven using cotton, and maybe they can add beads. But nowadays, with a little like more demand on this fabric, and a lot of motifs have been adapted to the fabric, and people like to have silk to it, add silk to it. So silk can also be found in this type of ulos. And originally, the ulos only has like three main color, so red or dark red, black, and yellow. And originally, these colors are produced by using indigenous plants. So, for example, the red or dark red color is coming from a mengkudu, pohon mengkudu in Indonesian language, or it is in Latin, because if I translate it to English, maybe other part of the world does not use the same word. But if I use Latin, it's a really universal scientific name for it. So the Latin name I will also place here is Morinda citrifolia. So it's in the coffee family, and this will produce red. And for blue, oh, so sorry. So the original color is dark red, dark blue, which kind of look like if it's dark enough, like black, and then yellow. So for the dark blue, it's coming from the Indigofera tinctoria, Indigofera tinctoria, indigo. And for the yellow, it is coming from it's coming from turmeric, which is the Latin name is Curcuma domestica. Now, with that, that's pretty much the base of the Sadum Ulos. But then there are motifs that is added using the supplementary weft technique, and these motifs are using really bright colors, because this is usually, as I mentioned, usually celebrating is to celebrate joyous moment or joyful moments. So the motifs are using bright colors, so you can find yellow or green, more yellow, and so on, orange even. So what else? So we have color, so I'm still focusing on Sadum. And back in the 70s, ulos and other Indonesian fabric were gaining demand, because in the 70s the government established that batik. So I have covered batik in previous episodes. So batik and was accepted as the formal fabric in Indonesia. So let's say you go to a party, it could be a governmental party or a governmental event or wedding party, like really a formal part. When they said what do you call formal attire, you can, instead of using the black suit and tie, so previous to pre 1970s, like the Western style of suit and tie was taken as the formal attire, especially if you go to work, like if you go to like interview or giving your seminar or something that requires to wear something professional, like not I guess formal. Pre 1970s, that was suit and tie. But after 1970, batik is a instead of just a traditional garment, it is taken as accepted as a formal garment. And with that, ulos was also being accepted as like a more formal a garment, like garment for more formal use. So and then from there are a lot of demand, not just for traditional, but as I mentioned, tourism, and also like a in the government, or like a formal attire fabric. So instead of just producing it for traditional or what do you call, like a traditional ceremony, uh, if you visit northern part of Sumatra, you will be able to purchase like a souvenir of an actual ulos, but it is not you just buy it that is already made. You don't go to somebody's store or house to ask them like design for you, because that will take some time still. But the good thing about living in Indonesia, and also I mentioned this in the previous episode, the Nutcracker episode, when you live in Indonesia and you have like a big event that you are planning to go or attend, you have the time to you know request or order this fabric or this cloth, or even make it as a garment. So that's like the introduction of ulos. So what do they look like? So if you can see here, these are some examples of Ulos Sadum that I received from my mom. One year, she brought it, or maybe I went back home and then I asked her if I can get some ulos that is appropriate for for just a regular, like a souvenir, not for specific traditional event. So let me see, just a second. So what you see here, the first one that I like to show you is the really typical ulos that you will find everywhere. So as I mentioned, you have the dark red is the typical color, and then there is yellow, and usually this part is darker than this, and that could be the dark blue from the indigo. Now, so as you can see, the background is where it's using the backstrap loom, but then all the motifs that you are seeing is using the supplemental weft technique, or we call it songcat. And the typical motif for ulos is this diamond shape. So all these different diamond shape can be found on the Ulos Sadum, and they're usually using really bright color. And again, this is using the supplemental weft technique. If you want to see the back side of it, I can show you. So that's the back side of the woven using the supplemental weft technique, on top of the base that is done using the backstrap loom. Again, I'm not a weaver. I don't know, or what that really means. But if you go to the reference paper that I'm placing with this episode, you will be able to get it. And also, sorry, it also has other motifs that is being adopted from regular objects that people find in daily life. So there's one object here that is really interesting to me. So this object right here, I keep seeing this in a lot of Ulos Sadum. Again, all the motifs, they're like a representation of things, or material that or not material, that objects that you find in the daily life. So maybe maybe so this guy represent, like people um celebrating in a party or something. I don't know. I could not find what this exact motif means. I think I need to do a little bit more research. So I'll continue looking at that journal, or maybe find another book. Now, the traditional ulos would also have some writing on it as a message from the giver to the recipient. And usually, this is like sharing or wishing joy or blessing to the recipient. So this particular ulos has a line that says, so this one, sorry, this one does, yeah, okay. So this one is in the Northern Sumatra dialect. So some Sadum Ulos will have Indonesian saying. I have not found any Ulos that is using like English, I don't know if there is one. Somebody can correct me, but it's still either using the dialect that is found in North Sumatra, which is called Batak language or Batak dialect, or Indonesian dialect. So this one is using the Batak dialect. So it's called Dame Madihita, or Dame Madihita is a blessing, a saying that you can share to somebody that you're giving this as a present, which means joy be with us, or blessing be with us. Hita mean us or we. So Dame Madihita is like, let's have joy for us, something like that. It's like a how do I say it? The tense, the imperative. It's an imperative tense. Dame madihita, like let's have joy instead. Anyway, let me not go a little bit too far in the language part. Now, how do people usually use this? Originally, what you use ulos is on your shoulder. So you can use it on your shoulder, and then you go dance, with the dance party in the wedding or whatever that you're celebrating. Or if it is for a couple that is getting married, it can be, you know, in placed on both per people, the couple's shoulder as one, so both will have, like the ulos around their shoulder. One thing that I haven't really mentioned, ulos, the word ulos means blanket. And it means blanket in literal sense, and also it means blanket as the wishful act of blessing someone. So it is, so when you give the ulos, it's like with the blessing woven into this fabric, it's like you're blanketing the recipient with your blessing. So ulos means blanket. Ulos has blessings woven in it. When you mangulosi, mangulosi means to ulos someone. So ulos in can be a noun and a verb. When you mangulosi, when you're to ulos someone, you are blanketing someone with a blessing. So I think it's just a beautiful traditional, a beautiful meaning and a beautiful use of a fabric, and like a technique, or you know it's sometimes I don't like, I'm not like, but when people say it's just a craft, like it's just crafting. No, it is more than crafting when it comes to ulos in Indonesia. And by the way, every time, yeah, anyway, this is what you will see in North Sumatra, how people wear ulos. You put it on your shoulder, and if you're graceful enough, it will not slide down your shoulder throughout the entire party. And you dance with it, and you dance the, if you remember, Siksiksi Banu Manikam di Parjo Get Solo Manigotam, that's what you do. Again, this is the traditional dance, this is the traditional garment, and damn, I look good. Okay, so oh, this can be the front page image of this video. Yeah. Anyway, so the traditional color is this color scheme. And if we continue look at other, so this one is really for this is an example of an ulos that was made for souvenir, because if you can look at, if you read this line is in Indonesian, and it says selamat pakai, meaning enjoy wearing this. Selamat pakai, like enjoy it, like when you have a a bread or as a gift, like enjoy. So basically selamat pakai. So as you can tell, this is really a little bit more modern, and all these motifs, it's really like this, a lot of like Western um, knitwear motif came to Indonesia, and people have adapted that on the ulos. So for a souvenir, like for tourism. So you can, if you find some, like Western motif in Indonesian ulos, that is really made for the tradition, like not traditional, but like for tourism. Now and also here there's another one, and also this color is not a typical like traditional like ulos color, but it's just beautiful. I think this one is using the Batak dialect, and again, this also has a lot of like Western influence, but my favorite ever ulos is the one with the red, dark red, indigo, yellow, and now. This has become an inspiration of one of the best sweater I've ever designed, made, and enjoyed. I call it the Ulos Sweater. This is the sweater that was inspired by Ulos. If you look at this, a lot of the motifs that I put here is inspired by the regular motifs that can be found in the Ulos Sadum. For example, this diamond, it's everywhere on the Ulos Sadum. More diamond. So basically, I was just making different type of diamonds, and this guy right here is that motif that I was mentioning earlier that I keep seeing in regular ulos, which I still need to figure out what they mean. Why is it not there? Ah, yes. So this guy right here is, represented here, and then another like a lot more diamonds. So let's talk about this while I put this back on the right way, because my ancestors will all come to me if I wear it the wrong way, and I don't want that. Mm-mm. I just want to show my ancestor, hey, okay, I do look good in it, right? Yes. So let's see if I can be graceful in an ulos to finish this episode. Sweater, fingering, weight, 54 circumference. I think it's even closer to 60-inch circumference, because I want to have 10-inch of positive ease. My circumference chest is 49 to 50. So 60-inch circumference sweater, cardigan, fingering weight, bottom up, sticked in the middle. So I will. So 60-inch circumference, bottom up, fingering weight, sticked in the middle. Yeah. My first time sticking anything. I will put a lot of pictures here of when I was making it. So this was summer of 2022. Yeah, I stick it. So I was using Arna and Carlos sticking tutorial on their website. Again, I will put reference in the comment box. My God, I just cannot be graceful enough for this. Stephanus, get it together. But I do look good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's what it is. I was in Rhinebeck 2020, and I got this amazing undyed blue BLF. Anyway, I will put here undyed fingering weight, and every color here is just any fingering weight that I have. They're not even special. For example, this one is just Zauberball. And this one is Life in the Long Grass. Another Zobber Ball. Um, Local New Jersey dyers, and forget what this is. Anyway, I found this changing color yarn is amazing for this. So this is just two colors, but because one yarn is changing color, it looks like it's a lot of color. No, it's just changing color. Changing color doesn't change color. Steeked one by one, rib, and extra on the top. It's a shawl collar, huge shawl collar. So anyway, this has been my greatest one of my greatest accomplishments in terms of making a garment. Not just because fingering takes a while, steeking, and it's because I find a way to bring that basic meaning of ulos. It's not about the fabric, it's about the basic meaning of ulos, that you're blanketing somebody with your wishful heart or wishful greetings in my daily life. Well, I mean, in the winter when it's cold. So every time I wear this, it reminds me, you know, you can always wish joy to anyone, but also to yourself. Wear something joyful, work on something joyful, gift something joyful, bring joy to the world, and they still stay on. I guess I'm a bit graceful anyway. All right. I think that's it. I think it's too long. Um, Next week I will be going to Indonesia, so I will start patching videos during my travel and share it as an episode while I'm traveling, instead of like this sit down. And oh, this looks so good. What I'm working right now, it's just a sock. I have this fingering yarn or sock yarn, whatever, that I got multiple years ago from when I lived in Berkeley, California. As for my postdoc, I was working on alternative energy research in the Berkeley National Laboratory on one of the synchrotron beamline. Anyway, that's a whole other story. And when I went back there 1 year after I moved here, I went to a yarn store and then picked this up. And yeah, it's just regular, like what do people call, like a vanilla sock, because this is my first time using a self striping yarn. But look at that, that's just exactly like what a Santa suit color wheel combination is. So that's it. So I'll be bringing this to the airplane, and I will enjoy my break, and hopefully everyone has, well, look at that. I guess people can just like pin it, right? Like there's no way people just put it there and not slide throughout the night. Enjoy your break. Make joyful things. Gift joyful things. Wear joyful things every day. All right. Until then, be extra, be proud, be brave with your knitting, not being arrogant, but just support your creativity. Bye.